What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about OP-13. And we need to ask if OP-13 is a bit of a problem. I've seen a lot of discussion online over the past few weeks about the fact that, well, the general sentiment I'm seeing is, we haven't even got OP-13 yet and I'm already sick of the format. Okay, well, we are going to get to a point in the not too distant future where we will be getting simultaneous release of One Piece TCG products. That is going to be happening next year. Honestly, from what we can see, I am getting the idea that maybe it's not going to be early in the year. Maybe it's going to be a little bit later that we actually have to get there. But either way, we've been told 2026, we are getting to a simultaneous worldwide release. But we're not there yet. And what that means is we can just look at what's happening in Japan. They've got OP-13. They are playing with OP-13, and we can see what's going on. Now, to be clear, from a collectability standpoint, and I know OP-13 is now out and it will be legal this weekend, don't worry. From a collectability standpoint, you know, we've talked about OP-13 a lot, but between the manga rares, the red manga rares, the Shanks Anniversary cards, the special art cards, the other special rare cards, the ones which are the wanted posters and everything else, it is a set which for collectors is redonkadonk. But what about for players? Because I've been telling you guys for a little while now that when this comes out, Ace becomes arguably the best deck in the format. Imu becomes arguably the best deck in the format. And then Roger remains good. Bonnie is seeing actually quite a significant amount of play, and Sabo is seeing more play than I was expecting, and Luffy actually, right now, as I record, Luffy looks like the worst deck of the new ones, which is something I did not see coming initially, but as with all of this, we're going to need to kind of hold our horses and see what happens down the line. But the question is, are any of these decks a problem? Is the format getting a little bit ruined? Well, the good news is we've had a couple weeks in a row of big Japanese tournaments, so we can just go and look at what's happening over in Japan, and then we can see what's going on. So if we have a look at the tournament which happened over in Hiroshima, not the weekend gone, the weekend before, here's what the top 16 looks like. And don't worry, I'll do the translations for you. But we've got 5 red blue Ace, 4 black Imu, 3 green Zoro, 2 red black Sabo, 1 red purple Roger, and 1 yellow Bonnie. As a side note, the only non-OP-13 deck on there is Zoro, and you will notice that in this top 16, every one of the new decks is represented except for that Luffy. Zoro's essentially jumped in for Luffy. But you'll also notice that 9 of the top 16 decks were Ace or Imu. And Ace is there at 5 of the top 16. That is a significant proportion. Well, when we get down to the end of it here was the winning deck. And it turned out that we had Imu. Imu won. Oh, cool. That's rather lovely. What did it beat in the final? Imu. Oh, that's not an ideal situation now, is it? And the answer is no. No, it's not an ideal situation. Imu got both of the finalist slots. And I will say the runner-up actually did play a slightly weirder list, because if we put these two deck lists side by side, you will notice there are significant, and I mean significant, similarities between the two. It's not a 60-card mirror or anything like that, but, you know, in terms of event cards, it's the same 3 event cards. It's 1 each of the same 2 stages. The vast majority of the decks are the same. You know, the winner version only played 1 Shirahoshi, which is a little bit weird. And the runner-up actually did play a couple Nefertari Vivi and a couple Stussy, which is, again, a little bit different. And the winner did play St. Charlos, which the runner-up didn't. But these are very similar deck lists. Okay, not ideal. We've had two very similar Imu decks making the finals over in Hiroshima. But don't worry, because this past weekend just gone, we had another tournament over in Aichi. So we can look at that and we can go, well, things are going to be better in Aichi, right? Of course things are going to be better in Aichi. Well, I'm not entirely convinced. Because if we have a look down there, we see in the top 16, 7 black Imu, 4 red-blue Ace, 2 red-purple Roger, 2 blue-yellow Nami, which was fascinating, because remember that won the tournament which I was commentating this past weekend in Utrecht, which was weird, and then 1 green Zorro. So Sabo and Bonnie not in top 16 this time. We've still got half of the OP-13 decks represented. Zorro is still there like it was in Hiroshima, but now we've got blue-yellow Bonnie coming in. But then we still need to focus on the left-hand side of this graphic, because we've got 11 of the top 16 decks being Ace and Imu. And over in Hiroshima, we did actually see 9 of the top 16 decks being Ace and Imu. The point that I'm making here is we have got 2 decks which are noticeably better than the rest. Also worth pointing out that over in Hiroshima, it was 5-4 Ace to Imu, but now it's 7-4 Imu to Ace. Things are building up. Well, it's not just about the top 16 though, is it? Let's be honest. It also needs to be seen what won. What won over in Aichi? Imu. Imu won over in Aichi. With another deck that looks very similar to the ones I showed you just a minute ago. Okay, well, it won 2 in a row. What did it have to beat in the final? You can probably see where I'm going with this, can't ya? It's another Imu deck. Another way to put it is that in the 2 big tournaments we've had in the past couple of weeks over in Japan, all 4 final slots went to Imu. It took 4 of the top 16 in Hiroshima. It took 7 of the top 16 in Aichi. And it took all 4 final slots, including both victories. What this basically means is it is a deck that firstly converts from Swiss to Top Cut very well, but then wins in Top Cut. Yes, Ace might have had 9 of the 32 slots over the 2 tournaments. That's great. Didn't even make the final in either. It had 0 finalist finishes. So, do we have a problem in OP-13? Yes. But the problem is Imu. Ace is not the problem. I know if you look at number of decks being played and top 16s, etc., you can look at it and go, Ace is a great deck. Yeah. Ace isn't even making the final. We don't get to call it a problem child. Imu, however, right now is a problem child. And one of my biggest issues with the deck is how similar all 4 of these lists look, and there's a very good reason for it. Here is the winner in Hiroshima. Here's a runner-up in Hiroshima. Here's a winner in Aichi. Here's a runner-up in Aichi, and it's just a few cards different either way. They are very, 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 very similar decks. But they kind of have to be. Because Imu's got that leader skill that lets you go and search out that stage at the start of your turn, or start of the game even. And there are 2 different stages which are Mary Jo's types, so you play one of each of them. Grab whichever one you want for the particular matchup. And then you've got 5 elders, that 10 cost that if your leader is Imu, rest a Don, trash a card from your hand. The reason for that, incidentally, is it's a 10 cost, so you cannot use another Don on the turn you play. You have to wait a turn to use it. Trash all your characters and play 5 Elder characters with 5,000 power and different card names from your trash. Great. But then, of course, that means that you just have to play the 5 Elders. So you're going to have to play basically a full 4 of St. Ethan Baron van Nistelrooy, and then St. J. Garcia Saturn, and then St. Seppa Jupiter, and then St. Marcus Mars. You got to play, and St. Topman Walkyrie, that one as well. You got to play all of these. It's just absolutely, the deck doesn't really function without it. Then you got to play 4 St. Charla, because that is essentially your searcher. And then you've been given a bunch of these ridiculous one-cost event cards, because you're not allowed to play event cards for cost of more than one. So the 5 Elders are at your service. Kind of has to be played. The world's equilibrium cannot be maintained forever, and never existed in the first place. These cards are too good not to play. And when you add all of that up, you look at it and you go, well, yeah. There's not that much left to actually decide. And honestly, when you get and play the deck and all of that, you discover pretty quickly that Shirahoshi is a ridiculous card in this deck. Now, Shirahoshi, the counts differ. The winner of Hiroshima actually only played one of them, but it's another one that showed up in all 4 of those decks. So we end up in this situation where not only is it taking a significant chunk of top 16 every tournament, but it seems to be going up, and it's basically winning everything. And because of the nature of the deck, because it being a very tribal deck with a lot of really specific tools, we end up having rather similar deck lists across the board here. And I do think we are at the stage now where we can go, yeah, him is a problem. But there is a saving grace here, and I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know if we even have the answer in the sets up to and including OP-13. But because it is a deck where the deck lists really don't change all that much, it does seem like it's ripe to be taken advantage of. Maybe there's a deck out there that can just stop the 5 Elders ever going off, and then the deck becomes a lot less fun. Maybe it's going to get hit with a banhammer in the future, I don't know. But I started off with, the question of, is this a problem? Yes. Is it going to remain a problem? Well, that is a very different question. But right now, we are in a situation where we've had 2 tournaments in a row, and it's not that Imu is the best deck. It's that Imu is overwhelmingly so much better than every other deck, so as to create a format, and I don't know if we can quite say we're there yet, but we're either there or very close to a format where you can play Imu or directly counter it, or you might as well not bother turning up. At least if you're trying to win. If you're just trying to have fun, you go nuts. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Do you think that Imu is a problem? Do you think it is going to be a bit of an issue going forward? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.